Welcome to Blender Frenzy. I am Justin, and today we are continuing modeling our Terminator skull. And all we're doing today is just adding more detail to the side of the head over here like this, and then to the nose. You can see we have a little bit more of an extrusion in that nose. And here's what it looks like in solid mode. And we are also using the matte cap, this one here. So this is what you'll see. So this was all flat before, so we just kind of extruded this out, and it's a little bit difficult just because we have to kind of manipulate some of these loop cuts that we add just to kind of massage it so it's not too bulky and it's not too awkward. And I'm not the best at topology, I'm not the best at modeling, but I try to maintain quads where I can, and I try not to have geometry being added completely around the skull. So if we add loop cuts, I try to minimize where they go. And then the second half of the video, what we do is extrude in the nose and make these little slabs coming out here. So we'll have something that looks like this. And then of course in our subdivision surface, it looks like this. And that's just to match this right here, these protrusions coming out, and then these little gaps here in the nose, and then you can see the slab coming out. And then of course with our materials added, we have something that looks like this. Let's change this HDRI. So yeah, something that looks like that. So this might be a little bit of a tedious video, but there are some modeling tips and tricks to optimize your topology and your loop cuts. So when you're ready, let's get started. And as always, if you're following along, you can download this free blend file. I'll leave a link to it in the description, but it's just the images and the cameras that are lined up so that you can start building out your model. Of course, I'm using the images for my skull model that I have made for my course, but in this tutorial, I'll be using different images to show you how I originally made it, but I can't distribute those, so this is what you can work with instead. So head on over to blenderfrenzy.com to find the free download. But this is what we've built so far. So we've got actually pretty simple geometry, and then we have two of our reference images projected, one on the front and then one on the side. So if we come back to our project, I can choose the skull front. You can see that's being projected onto the front and then all the way through, and then you can see it through the back. Same thing here with the skull side. It's being projected onto the side and all the way through to the other side, which in this case matches, but that's also because we have the mirror modifier. And then I'm mixing the two, so we have our front and our side together, and that is being mixed using a black and white alpha mask, where you can see everything that's white is where the side is. And then we did some color grading, a little tiny bit of color grading here with this node, just changing the hue because that looked a little bit too purple. So we just changed it to match the side a little bit better. And then we plugged in a principled BSDF in order to get this metallic look. Now, of course, this is not the end product. This is just something where we can kind of get a visualization of what it could be, but it gives some inspiration and motivation, and to show you how easily it is to make something that looks really detailed from something that is just a very simple model. But today what we are going to do is add in just a little bit more detail on the side and then some on the nose. So let's set up here. I'm going to do the side first. So let's just take a look at what we have. Okay, so now we have to think about our edge flow, and I don't entirely know. Let's see. Do I want to add another loop cut? I may want to add another loop cut here, but I'm not sure, because our topology is a little bit confusing here. So we have this edge loop kind of going around here, and then it comes around like this. But looking at it in 3D doesn't really match what we have here in the 2D view, because this is definitely more on the side. So I'm going to just rearrange some of this a little bit to make it fit the skull a little bit better. And I think I'm just going to pull these out. So that's what I'm just going to start doing. I'm just going to kind of grab and pull them up And then also maybe use the proportional editing tool along with the others a little bit, just to maintain a better edge flow. And then this one needs to come down here, I believe. And I also want to make sure I'm not messing anything up too badly out here, because this is really hard to smooth, especially with the mirror modifier. And it's still, you can see there's some indentations that we'll have to take care of later. But for now, I think that's fine. Also kind of following the edges here and the shape of the head there. But see, if I pull that down, that might be too much. See, if I pull it up, so let's keep it like this. Let's just do an edge slide then. Yeah, there we go. Maybe same thing here. Just do edge slide. Okay, that's good enough for now. So now what I can do is come in and take these faces here to maybe, let's see, I'm going to use the same matte cap here. Yeah, maybe right here, just these. Okay, and then I'm going to E to extrude those out just a little bit. And you can see it's over a little bit here, too much. So we'll have to fix that eventually. But for now, I'm just going to take this edge loop here. Not you two, but you. Double G to slide that down. Do an edge slide. And we can do, take this edge loop here, grab on the X and move that in. Well, let's not do it in proportional. Move that in just a little bit more, and then we'll take this edge loop here. And I think I'm just going to take it to there and then pull that out a little bit more. So that's kind of flattening that out a little bit more. And then maybe take these. Let's see where these are here. Yeah, we'll just double G to slide those down. Maybe take these in proportional and pull those in a little bit, just so that it kind of, everything's kind of flush right there. And before we add any more loop cuts, let's just take this geometry and start to pull it in. So I'm just gonna start to select. I don't want to select anything in there yet. Just want to select maybe stuff around here, not there. And then we'll take this and pull that in. And maybe even rotate it just ever so slightly like that, so that it fits the head a little bit better. Let's also, of course, make sure we haven't royally messed everything up. Not royally, but this is kind of what we're going for. We're kind of pulling this side metal piece out on the top of the head. But right now you can see it's still too smooth. So we're going to have to define this. And a couple ways we could do that, of course. Remember, if we selected certain edges, so let's just select these edges here to define those. And then maybe on the bottom here. So we can select these edges like this. Go to our mean crease here and then just pull that up. And you can see if we go into real time or subdivision surface, you can see it's making those edges more smooth or sharp. And this is fine if you just want to stay in Blender, but if you want to export this out anywhere, you probably don't want to use this because this is just a Blender piece of information. So it might not actually translate to anything you want to export. so I don't do that. We're going to do this loop cuts, but I'm trying to do it smart, and I don't know if I have the exact correct way to do it. There's probably a better way, but I'll show you what I came up with. So the first thing I want to do is let's define the tops and the bottom here. So let's do a loop cut going this way. So the top and the bottom, what I mean is this edge here going around on the top ridge here. And then if I do another edge loop here like this will define kind of the bottom one, at least over here. So it'll look something like this. So you can see the top edge over here, and then the bottom edge over here. Okay, that's a good start, but I don't want this geometry going all the way down. You can see that we have like these double edges, these double edge loops going all the way down, like right there and right there, and I don't want that. So we can make it to where I do want it all the way from, at least from here to here, because that's the bottom edge. So remember our little trick where if we have 3 faces, 1, 2, 3, we can combine it into 2 faces. And before that, I do that, I think I'm going to add another loop cut going this way because I want to define this a little bit more anyway in just a little bit. But this is perfect. Now we can take 3 faces here and change it into 1. And the way we do that is we want this to be 1 face over here, starting from here going down. So we take the knife tool, cut here, go in, and cut across, and then make this little cuts like that. Now to see this better, we can just move those in like that. So we want to take the inside loop cut here, from here all the way down, X to dissolve edges. Same thing, I think it's this edge here going all the way up. Oh, you know what? It's not choosing the right one. So let's make sure we babysit that here. All the way up. X to dissolve those edges. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of strange results. So I'm going to undo all of that. An easier way to do this to make sure we don't lose any faces is just take these edge loops again, and then double G to slide those in all the way. And because we have our auto merge vertices, they will merge completely with this, and this will just be 1 edge loop instead of 2. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one all the way down here, but we got to make sure we got to make sure it follows the correct path here, which is not. That's why it's doing that. So we got to really kind of babysit this here. Down like this. Okay, I'll just go ahead and double G right there, and then we'll just continue down here like this, double G. Okay, there we go. That way we don't mess anything up down here or in here. But you can see we've cleaned up our geometry quite a bit, and we also messed this up. So it shouldn't do that. So if it does that, we're just going to have to fix it. Take this, dissolve that edge, and now we can move this point, and we'll just slide this up like that. And then we can also slide these also. We don't need these so close together because that could cause some pinching. Okay, let's take a look, see what we have. All right, that's not too bad, at least for there. So we'll come back to that area, but let's take care of this up here. So we've got some craziness going up here. The first thing that I want to do is I think we're going to make a loop cut going all the way around starting here. And that goes all the way around our selection here of what we extruded. And that'll define that top for all of those a little bit better. And we need to also make they're kind of converging in, so I'm going to also put a loop cut going down this way. Now if I do that straight away, you can see the path that it takes, and I don't want it to take that path, but I'm going to go ahead and set it there. And then let's take these edges, this edge loop from here to here, do our double G trick again to merge those like that. So now we have one going down this way. And I'm going to do a couple of different things here. Let's take the edge loop going up all the way here. And the reason we're doing this is we want to slide it this way, but not from there. So let's actually deselect these. So I'm just going to slide it this way like that. And what that does is it helps define this area a little bit more. Now it creates some pinching up here, which we can change here in just a minute. But first, what I want to do is fix this. Now we have a triangle going this way. So what I'm going to do is add a loop cut this way and do our trick again. Let's just deselect the ones here in the back. So it's just these. Double G, pull that up. Now we have this loop cut going all the way across that way, and we can dissolve this one. So now we have a quad here. So now these are all quads still. Okay, so let's fix this pinching. I think what I can do is, I don't want to start sliding from here, maybe start sliding from here. So let's take this loop and double G to slide that down a bit. And then we'll take this one also, double G to slide it the other way. Okay, let's see what that looks like. All right, so that is, yeah, that's not too bad with our pinching. We do still have some pinching over here, so let's fix that. Okay, so these two are close together. Also these two, which I don't know, we can just maybe slide these out just a little bit, maybe. Actually, you know, I'm going to undo that. I like that the way it is there. So let's just do these. Now I could do a couple different things. I could take these and then double G to slide those out, or maybe not this one, just double G to slide those out. And that kind of smooths that, and that doesn't look too bad. And then it would maintain, you know, the quads here that we want. But I could also just get rid of some geometry if I just take these and double G to slide those and do our little trick here again. Now that does make a triangle there, but if you're not using this for animation, especially in this section of the skull, which I won't be, then that should be just fine. But is that cleaner? Is that what I want? So that may or may not cause more problems in the future. But we do still have a nice loop cut going around. We don't have excessive geometry. Although here we can also take these, double G to slide those. I like optimizing the amount of geometry that I have, but I'm not sure if I'm convinced with this little area here. Maybe we can just pivot that. Yeah, you know what? I don't think that's too bad. Okay, so let's fix this down here. This is a little bit too rounded. So what I think I did for this is merged all of these vertices. So I'm going to select this one first, shift select, and then shift select. And since this is the active one, it's the last one. So if I press M and say merge at last, it's going to merge all of those down over there like that. And there, I like that. See how that's nice and smooth, and it kind of starts to come here to a point, and it's not too bad. I may even merge that with that one. So let's I'm going to do my vertex select, or vertex snapping, I mean, and I want to see what result I get from that. Ooh, I like that even more, I think, because if you look at the side, it kind of comes down here, and these kind of all merge together at this point anyway. So I think I kind of like that. And let's make sure we also are taking a look at it in the front, which I think we need to modify this just a tad bit. So I think we need to take some of these faces, and we can also maybe pull these in too, and maybe pull this in over here like that. But let's take some of these faces and maybe edges, and then we can just pull that out a little bit. Maybe take this edge and pull that in a tiny bit. Maybe I'm not looking at that right. Maybe actually I need to take that out quite a bit more. Okay, yeah, I think that's a little bit better. Oh, well, I messed something up here. Oh, I pulled this out because I'm not using my brain. I meant to say I'm not using the vertices. But I do actually want to pull these out further than these, so these are going to go back. And then also this should go in a bit. Okay. It's not terrible. All right, and then I want to take this loop cut, I suppose, here, and then kind of just edge slide that down a little bit to define that a little bit more, make that a little bit tighter. Yeah. It's really personal preference at this point, but I think that is good for the side of the head. So let's see what it looks like with our projection images. Okay, so it looks a little wonky because we still need to project from the side again. Remember, every time you add geometry, you also need to reproject. So you can see we've changed some things over here. And so make sure you're in your camera mode on the side, because the cameras are lined up specifically for reprojection like this. So select everything, you, and project from view. And that may look a little different because I'm now using Blender 4.3, which just came out. So the projection menu looked a little bit different than before. But of course, we're looking at the mask side. It doesn't really matter. This is what it should look like here with the mask front. And now we can see what that looks like here. Nice. Okay, so we're just giving it some more detail, adding a little bit more geometry to kind of complement what we see in the images, the reference images. So let's do some with the nose as well. So going back to our split view here, let's do the front here. Let's select these faces. Well, before we select the faces, I'm going to continue this edge loop here with the knife tool all the way in like that. And that's going to leave us this area for this ridge here to extrude. But I'm also going to cut up here to there. And then we can dissolve those edges there like that. Let's take this edge loop and then double G to slide that in to make this a little thicker. I'm going to just take the top one here and bring that up to make it a little bit more even. And let's save it. Don't forget to save. And something I also forgot to do is create another plane so that we had something to fall back on, but I always forget. I keep forgetting. So if you want to do that now, you can. I don't think I'm going to do it because we've already gotten this far. Okay, so I'm going to take these faces. Let's go into side mode, X-ray, E to extrude. I'm going to press Shift X and then just pull this back somewhere right here. All right. So now we have something that looks like that. And now I want to see if I can replicate these grooves here in these holes, and then these slabs too that come out. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm going to get it as as much as I can here. So let's add some geometry inside the nose. So we've got two faces here, and we have one face here. But I'm actually going to make, well, let's actually see what this looks like first, because I don't want to get too ahead of myself. We just want to make sure we're checking to make sure that we still have a smooth model here. So yeah, so as I add loop cuts, I'm going to do it one at a time. Adding a loop cut, I'm going to pull this one to the front, just so that that makes, okay, let's do it not in subdivision. Just pull that somewhat to the front so that we have a thicker nose there. And then also one on the top, like this, pull that down, just so we can define the front of the nose a little bit better there. Okay, so I want to match the loop cuts that I have here, or at least the faces. So we've got two faces here, three faces, and we've got two faces here. I'm going to add in another loop cut. I'm going to add in two loop cuts, I think. We're going to try that. So if we come back here, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3 that would make up this little groove. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, and then we've got still some in the back, and I think that's what I want. So we're just going to bridge these edge loops. So we're going to select these 3 edge loops, and then we're going to select these 3 edge loops. And then press Control E, we can do bridge edge loops. Now this may or may not be part of an add-on that you have to go and enable. I can't remember, but if you don't see this, go look and see if you can enable an add-on that might help with more modeling stuff. So we got bridge edge loops there, and I want to take this face and delete these faces as well. So we have something that's like that. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to do another one. We're going to do another loop cut here, but if I do this, it's going to go all the way around the model. And that's because we have connecting geometry. So what I'm going to do to mitigate that is select these faces and delete those faces. Now when I make this loop cut, then it doesn't go all the way around the model. So I'm going to pull that up here like this. I'm going to try it like this. I may have to reevaluate. I don't know yet. But it's going to be the same thing. So we're going to have these 3 here, and then these 3 here. And we're going to bridge those edge loops and delete this face. Okay, and I'm going to take this, just kind of massage this here so that it's a little bit more lined up. Let's see what that looks like in sub D. There we go. So we've got something that looks like this, which is kind of atrocious right now. It's not, these holes are maybe a little bit too big, but we will be extruding some more stuff inside, so we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. But what we can do is kind of maybe reshape these. Okay, so that looks good. Let's save it. And then I'm going to take these, select these 3 here as well. E to extrude those. Something like that. And then we can define these a little bit more with another loop cut that comes around like this to square those off just a little bit more. And then maybe we can also just close in this gap a little bit more, bring this these two kind of together a little bit more. Maybe bring this also a little bit more. Okay, that doesn't look terrible, I don't think. So let's save it. Come back to UV editing. This time we want to go into front mode. That's front camera mode, actually. So 0, and then we got to select the active camera up here. Select everything. Make sure select our UV map, which I didn't do before, because this UV map index needs to be selected. It doesn't matter really what image we have behind it, but just to show you what it's going to look like. But we do actually have to have the index selected that we want to project. So you project from view, and then that will change that for us. And then I'm going to do the side as well, just because it's going to affect both the front and the side with what we just did. Okay, and then let's take a look at our handiwork. Oh, this is on our forest still. This is what we want. Yeah, look at that. Nice. So now we can see that the skull is shaping up to have quite a lot of detail, even though we still only have something that looks like this as far as the geometry is concerned. I do see this. I don't want it to look like he's wearing a hat here, so I am going to just tweak that just a little bit. Okay, so here's another tip too. If you want to try to use the proportional editing mode, but you're grabbing stuff that's not even connected, you can actually come to the drop down and say connected only, and then it's not going to affect other points that are maybe nearby that it would normally affect, but it's just not connected. So in this case, since I want to try to bring this back here like this, I don't want these ones down here to move along with that. Let's see, am I making any progress here? Okay, so that doesn't look too bad, although I did move some geometry again, so let's do this same thing. Side, you project from view, and then our front, you project from view. Okay, so I think this is good enough for the skull for the time being. We'll come back to it to add the little holes and details later, but I want to get moving on to the jaw, and then after that I'm going to do both the top and the bottom teeth at the same time. And then we can start to add in more detail as we go from there. So I don't know exactly how many more videos we have, but if you stay tuned, you'll see me in the next one.